In the 3rd century BC, the Emperor Asoka used military power to become one of the greatest rulers of ancient India. For nearly 40 years, he ruled the vast Mauryan Empire. Through war and conquest, he brought nearly all of India under a single ruler for the first time. Asoka made the capital city of Pataliputra, now known as Patna, the nucleus of his empire. Under Asoka, India prospered, art flourished, and the culture of the Mauryan Empire ushered in the first great flowering of Indian civilization. Asoka was known as a great military strategist, and his army was extremely well organized. It had a strong chain of command, and even detailed written manuals to guide the soldiers. His soldiers were well paid and well trained. They spent much of their time training and preparing for battle. But Asoka had an even more formidable weapon. His army used elephants to win many victories in battle. With their very large bodies, elephants are able to do things during combat that are too difficult or dangerous for other forces, such as marching in front, destroying ramparts, gates, and towers, trampling the enemy's army, and causing terror. Other Indian armies during this time also used some elephants in combat, but Asoka had 9,000 of them, and they trained right alongside his soldiers. The infantry, cavalry, chariots, and elephants trained outside the city every day at sunrise, except on days of special astrological significance. Asoka led his last military campaign against the rich kingdom of Kalinga, located on the Bay of Bengal. Kalinga controlled the country's southern trade routes. This was Asoka's last remaining competition in India. In 261 BC, Asoka set out with his army for the assault on Kalinga. A well-planned system of roads crossed the empire and helped soldiers and civilians alike get around. Over the years, Asoka had lined this primitive highway with ponds and wells. Without them, his traveling armies would have perished within days. A general took the lead, then the emperor himself, flanked by his bodyguards. Behind him marched thousands of elephants, horses, oxen, and soldiers. After them came the part-time militia and craftsmen, then the companies of allies and mercenaries. Behind them, finally, rolled thousands of wagons and beasts of burden, loaded with equipment and food for the enormous army. Engineers and laborers forged ahead, repairing boats and bridges and preparing fords before the army arrived. Sometimes the elephants formed a living bridge. After marching hundreds of miles, the Mauryan army entered the kingdom of Kalinga. At the front line stood Asoka's elite, the mounted archers. Each war elephant carried 3 fighting men. 2 shot from the side and 1 from behind. A 4th man guided the animal. Against so many war elephants, the Kalingans were outmatched. Some got tossed in the air, others crushed underfoot. The rest panicked and ran. With its army beaten, Kalinga soon surrendered. After the battle, Emperor Asoka was shocked to see the suffering and carnage he had caused. Asoka was so full of remorse that he renounced the use of violence and embraced Buddhism. The religion of Buddhism had started in Asoka's homeland of Magadha, a region in the modern-day states of Bihar and Jharkhand. The Buddha himself used the Magadhi dialect of Sanskrit. Asoka had boulders and pillars across India inscribed with his pious declarations. He asserted his belief in ahimsa, or nonviolence. One of these inscriptions read, "The beloved of the gods, Asoka, conquered Kalinga. 150,000 people were deported, 100,000 killed, and many times that perished. The slaughter, death, and deportation of the people is extremely grievous. The beloved of the gods wishes that all beings should be unharmed, self-controlled, calm in mind, and gentle." Asoka had numerous Buddhist monasteries built and made Buddhism the state religion. And he sent Buddhist missionaries throughout India and as far away as Syria, Egypt, and Greece. Asoka also urged tolerance of all faiths, regulated the slaughter of animals, and softened the harsh laws of his predecessors. When he died around 232 BC, his empire collapsed into chaotic fighting between rivals. But Asoka had led one of India's greatest cultural and religious revolutions. And although in India, Buddhism would eventually become only a minor religion, Asoka's support helped the religion spread and survive in other regions of the world, where it lives on today.